The Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Keen's Louisiana High School Football Playoff Prediction Show is presented by Medine's Collision Center. Take control, choose Medine's. Gros Savon Lodge, the true sportsman's paradise. Treads and Care Tire Company, the tires you need, the service you want. And Harvey Autos, the name you have trusted for years.
Welcome to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Keene.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Keene. I'm your host for today, Jace LeJeune. And Lee, it means one thing. We've reached 4 or 5 weeks in a row doing this from the very beginning. Yeah. We're at the very end. We're at the finish line, Lee. This is championship week. I'm super pumped about it. I'm super pumped about going back to the Dome. It's been 2 years. Really, they had the games back in the Dome. And we actually have also another state championship game being played at Cajun Field. We're coming off 2 more state championship games over the weekend. It was a great time to be a football fan, and we've called and just covered all these games I guess like the last month or so. We're finally here, Lee. We're at the finish line, state championship week.
Either we're crazy or we love it. I think we're a little bit of both.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's usually one show done on the playoffs, right?
Right.
We've made it into a month, which I think a lot of parents appreciate we're doing it. And a lot of people like watching this because we're talking about their kids and the teams, and we're not just doing like a bracket of NCAA tournament, what is it, 68, playoffs, you can talk, but the less teams, the more we can talk about them when we get to today's show, which is not as many teams. We're state championship games. I mean, it's no longer, hey, will we get there? It's now, can we win a state title?
And before we go into this week's championship games, because if you missed yesterday's show, we talked about it a lot, but there were 2 state championship games played over the weekend too.
Watch every show.
Yep, yeah, watch every show. But just give a shout out to, it's my Bears, man, my Catholic High Bears winning a state championship. I'm super pumped about that.
That was loud. That went all through my eardrums.
Well, it better be, Lee. I'm super pumped. I hope everybody hears that my Bears have won state championship.
And just so people know, I didn't graduate from Catholic. I know you did. I picked them to win, so I don't want anybody to think I'm a homer on my picks. But, Jesuit did a great job this year. Coach Manali did a phenomenal job with that program. And I think the Blue Jays are going to be rolling for a long time, Jace. And like I said the other day, I think Catholic High and Jesuit might meet a few times in this state championship game in the next couple of years.
Yeah, it was a 9-minute drive at the very end. 14-10 was your final score there in Catholic High. You can say all y'all want to say about what happened the last couple of years, but Catholic High just showed.
It's not a fluke.
It's not a fluke. It's just not a fluke why they won those state championships. And they won another one, 14-10. And then the other one, real briefly, we'll talk about St. Charles Catholic. And that was one that a lot of people were expecting, including myself, after really seeing LCA, what they did to Newman, calling that game the other week. And I was talking to Trev Falk. They were calling the drive for 5. That's what they were calling that's been the theme all season long. 5 straight state championships. They had one more game to do it, just kind of like with the New England Patriots. Remember, they went 17-0.
Yeah.
And they had one more game to get that undefeated season. Well, St. Charles Catholic said, not on my watch, and they didn't let that happen. And a couple of special teams if you talk about special teams making a difference, special teams made a difference. A couple blocked punts, a couple of turnovers on defense. It was an overall team effort that needed to be done in order to get the upset victory.
Well, if you talk to people in LaPlace, Jace, that was a special senior group of kids at St. Charles Catholic. I've watched them for 3 years, so, I mean, they really had a lot of great players. They finally got their respect by winning the state championship, by beating the juggernaut, Lafayette Christian. Lafayette Christian will be back next year moving up, and they'll compete for another title next year moving up. It's not going to slow them down.
Well, we're talking about, that's a perfect leadway, a segue into what we're talking about today, because we're talking about the big bad boys so far. Only left in the public brackets, Lee, and you'll probably know, but only one team that won a state championship last year is still alive in order to do it and repeat again.
That's a good stat.
Yep. So now Catholic High won theirs, but the only other team has a chance to do that. We'll talk about it. We'll preview it. But there's only one team that won a state championship last year that has a chance to do it again this year.
Before we get started, and I know we're going to talk about Division IV, the private state championship game. Ouachita Christian Southern Lab, they've hooked up many times. We'll talk about that. But I'm wearing my LSU shirt today. It's a late response to the Texas Bowl.
Yep.
Go Tigers. I know we support all colleges. Please don't get offended. I've got shirts from different colleges. You do too. But I'm supporting LSU today for the Texas Bowl. They did not go to a bowl game last year. And so it feels like 10 years since LSU's been to a bowl game, Jace.
Which was the 2019 National Championship game.
There you go. The greatest team ever.
Yeah, it certainly was the greatest college football team ever assembled. And we'll talk about it now. Division IV, you just mentioned it. And it's in the Dome. And before, this game was actually scheduled to play at Cajun Field this Saturday. But it was a great video. If you haven't seen it, Coach Fitzhugh met up with his team and made the announcement that they would play in the Dome. And then when that announcement was heard by the team, the team just was ecstatic about that announcement. They went really crazy. It shows you how much the Superdome really means to them. And, we'll talk about it. So this is your state championship game. Ouachita Christian, Southern Lab. This is the first game this weekend, 12 o'clock on Friday, number 1 versus number 2. Just briefly, Ouachita Christian, Calvary Baptist. I thought that would be a state championship. Whoever won that game would win the state championship. And Ouachita Christian, remember that Landry Liddy performance last year in the state championship when he went off, scored 62 points. And Ouachita Christian had that in their memory bank, and it was a really good game, 40-37, like we expected it to be, between two great programs. Ouachita Christian moved on that side of the bracket, and then there was your team, St. Frederick, that you talked about all this time. And I know that you said St. Frederick would go to the state championship, but Southern Lab, when their talent shows up, pretty hard to stop, and their talent showed up against St. Frederick. So that sets the stage up, Lee, number 1 versus number 2. Ouachita Christian, Southern Lab. Southern Lab, they're trying to win a state championship back since Marcus Randall was the head coach. Been a couple years for them. It'll be really good for Coach Asbury to get that state championship victory. And Fitzhugh, that will just be another one to his list, another trophy in the trophy case if they get it done in the Superdome.
This is not their first rodeo to play against each other, Jace, in the state championship game. This is not the first matchup. Fitzhugh's very aware of Lab. Lab's very aware of Ouachita Christian. It's speed against power. And it's just going to be big plays from Southern Lab, or it's going to be game clock controlled O-line by Ouachita Christian. Ouachita Christian's got a huge O-line. Southern Lab's got a huge D-line. And so the best lineman in probably this classification belongs to these two teams, even though I picked another team to win it in Calvary Baptist that didn't make it. Southern Lab, very talented. They have a 4-year starter. Angelo does a great job at quarterback. Izard, he's 5'11", 180, but he's got a cannon arm. He's calm. Herman Brister, Jace, has been starting for 5 years. He's got a 4.3 GPA, which is incredible. His dad, I think, is the principal. He's 6'3", 210. They've got a lot of great skill players at Lab. Lab's going to take the shots. That's the key to them winning. If they don't get the big plays, then I'm going to go at Ouachita Christian to win this. And I'm going to take the ball control over the big plays in the end, and that's Ouachita Christian controlling the clock, playing keep away from those big playmakers at Southern Lab.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I just really like their quarterback Graves, and that's not really easy what they did last year. They replaced Hunter Herring, who was a great quarterback for them. And you talk about this kid a whole lot, and he deserves a lot of praise to Tristan Wiley. This guy is a playmaker. Big-time receiver. We talk about if there was a comparison to Jack Best for this year, he's that guy.
He's close. Yeah. And then Graves is only a junior.
Yeah.
Who's really done – he's switched positions to play quarterback this year for the team. And just like the quarterback before him that you mentioned at a ULL,
right?
He switched positions to play quarterback. Fitzhugh does a great job of developing players and moving them around. You might start at running back your freshman year at Ouachita Christian. You might finish at O or D line. And it's a team concept at Ouachita Christian. But here's the deal, though. If Southern Lab gets those big plays, Jace, we're going to both look kind of dumb on our picks. But Southern Lab's very capable of having 5 plays over 50 yards in this game with their talent, and I think that's what worries Fitzhugh the most.
Yeah, and for Wausau Christian, they're trying to accomplish, this will be their 9th state championship overall, and then can you believe this, Lee, a 7th under Coach Fitzhugh. It's been
and he
incredible.
Is a great guy. I know him. He's a great person, and I think he's one of the great coaches in Louisiana right now. He's one. I put him in the top 3 currently in the state of Louisiana, and as a human being, number 1. He's
great guy.
Great guy. Had breakfast with him many times and talk football or shop, as they say. And Jace, this is going to be a great game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
You're going to be there. I'm going to be locally in Baton Rouge watching it. This is going to be the first year I haven't been to any games in the Dome, but I've been watching games. But I'm really glad they're playing in the Dome, and I know Fitzhugh, and I think Southern Lab's glad too that Fitzhugh fought for this. Yeah. And then they came in and said, yeah, let's do it, and it's going to be phenomenal.
Just like last time they were in the Dome was a couple years ago when they played Catholic Point Capee. They weren't originally supposed to play in the Dome, and Coach Fitzhugh, just a major shout out to Coach Fitzhugh and just pushing it and allowing these kids to have that opportunity to play in the Dome.
And let everybody, I hope what Fitzhugh did, and then there is another school that's going to play in the Dome, private school, right? Or is it just that one game?
It's just going to be that one game.
Well, I hope this shows other coaches that let's just get things back. Let's get everybody back in the Dome. Let's make it another reunion. Let's have everybody, all the fans, all the parents, all the coaches that are retired, current, past, former, present, can just go down for 3 days. And it's like a Super Bowl. Let's get that back.
Yep.
All right, we got to move on.
Yeah, we'll move on. Should be a great one. Wausau Christian trying to win a state championship. And you talked about Southern Lab in the preview magazine. You said this is probably the most talented Southern Lab team I've seen in 30 years.
Look, they've got 2 running backs that are both 5'5", 5'6". They're phenomenal. Thornton's one of them. He's 5'5", 180. He looks like a little tank version of Trendon Holiday, Jace. He's tough to tackle. And nobody has better receivers than Lab. They've got 2 or 3 6'3" guys that can run. Their O-line's huge. They got a big D-line. And they got a great quarterback in Izard. He's a great quarterback. So it's going to be a challenge. But, again, I'm going with ball control over big plays.
Let's see, Wausau Christian can get it done, or Southern Lab should be a good one. That is your Division IV state championship. When we come back, we'll talk about the only other private game, kind of the odd man out, as they'll be playing at Ragin' Cajun Field. You're watching the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Burkeen. We'll be right back.
Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you.
Welcome back to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Burkeen. And now, Lee, we're going to talk about Division II, which is a unique matchup when we talk about it with number 1 versus number 2. As well, just how they line it up with the seating.
Yeah.
And it's also going to be unusual because this is the only game this weekend that will not be played in the Superdome. It will be played at Cajun Field at ULL. But, both these fan bases will be there for sure. And then there will be a lot of local, maybe Ragin' Cajun fans there, too, to see the game as well. So it should be a good turnout. That game, if you're wondering, that will be at 7 o'clock on Friday. It's the same time as the 4A state championship game, so you gotta pick and choose which one you want to go to.
Pick your good poison.
Yeah.
And the thing about this game, all of Thibodeau's going to be there.
Yep.
You might as well just shut Thibodeau down, lock and key, throw it away. Because the Thibodeau Tigers, the high school Thibodeau Tigers, they're going to support them. E.D. White's never been in a state championship game, I believe, right, in football?
Yeah, I believe so.
This is the first appearance.
And that's what it's going to be, is E.D. White and U High.
Matthew Melanson has been having a killer season on offense. Ethan, on defense, the DB, is a phenomenal senior DB, and they've got a lot of seniors. They're tough, Jace. E.D. White's not one of those programs where you say, oh, they've got 10 D1 prospects. They're going to be recruited by all the teams in the country. But they do have a bunch of good kids. And you got to take your hat off to Coach Lesane, what he's done this year with this team.
Right, yeah.
This is his second time back at his school. He was the second time as the head coach at E.D. White. He didn't get to go his first term at the school many years. And I'm happy for E.D. White. I really am. They beat a good Parkview Baptist team to get there. They beat a very good St. Thomas More team.
And which I gotta give a shout out to myself because everybody else was picking Walker Howard and St. Thomas More, but I hung in there with E.D. White and I got it right.
You got that one right. And U-High is all year I've said they're the best team in this classification. They're one of the best teams in the state, not just this classification. And it's just hard to scout U-High or Lab School, however you want to call them, the Cubs. They're hard to scout, Jace. They've got 7, 8, maybe 9 weapons on offense they can interchange. They've got 4 running backs they can alternate in and out. You can't just say, "Hey, we're gonna prepare for this one guy running the ball." No, that's not going to be the deal. And their quarterback has done a phenomenal job as a junior managing this team. Their defense is lights out fast. But here's the deal: E.D. White's fast and quick. And so they're probably the most athletic team that they've played, even though there was a huge win for U-High against De La Salle, which I thought was a state championship game.
Right.
But De La Salle had more power. E.D. White, man, their quickness. Yeah. So you're going to have to throw these, you're going to have some screen passes. You're going to have some big plays. E.D. White does not allow long, sustaining drives. And
that's what they do best. They don't give up a lot of big plays. They're sound on defense. They frustrate Walker Howard. I mean, it's not often you get to say something like that.
Well, and STM was more one-dimensional this year because they didn't have all those good running backs this year. But U-High is very versatile. They can do power I. They can go single back. They can go 4 wide. So U-High can do many things. That's why they're going to be hard to stop. I've got U-High winning it still. I picked them 6 weeks ago, but I'm going to tell you, E.D. White, great job. Coach was saying, great year for them. And look, I might be wrong. They might win the game, but I'm going to stick with my pick from 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, me too. I picked U-High. This is the exact game I picked was U-High and E.D. White. I had U-High coming out of it, but major kudos to E.D. White. This is actually, I just looked it up, Lee. This is their first state championship appearance since 1981. So that's
a long time.
It's been a long time for E.D. White.
I was 11 years old. You weren't
I wasn't even thought of at that time. So, 31-21, they defeated St. Thomas More. Huge win anytime. And St. Thomas More, they're trying to go for their 3rd straight championship, and they shut that down.
Well, Walker Howard courageously came back from a broke leg.
Major kudos to Walker. I mean, he could have easily...
That's hard to do.
He could have easily shut down shop, saying, "Okay, I'm on a rest up, heal up for LSU." But no, he wanted to finish the senior season out strong. And if it wasn't for the push, St. Thomas More would have made that deep of a run in the playoffs.
The key to this game, Jace, is the offensive line for U-High. The offensive line at U-High is all seniors. They're about 275 average in weight. They're all over 6 foot tall. I think Miller Leach is a big time sleeper there. They've got the Handale kid is a big-time player, number 61 as well, and they've got Bromley. They got some other players on the O-line. And the sleeper guy that they moved to D-line that's changed things for their D-line, Jace, is a guy named Gavin Jones. He was an O-lineman. He's a senior. He's 6'6", 270. They moved him to D-line in the playoffs, and he is a wall. So he's allowing Williams and all these other players, Petrie, to get tackles, and he's really stalling that run game. So keep an eye on that. Gavin Jones is like the secret weapon for U-High now.
Right, and U-High, they're trying to go for another state championship. This will be, I believe, their 6th, and it's been a couple of years for them, back when they had the loaded team with McKernan and then just all these major recruits, Christian Harris, all those guys. It'll be their first state championship since then.
I go back to the old days, Coach Willis Stelly.
Oh, yeah.
He brought in the first state championships. They had a bunch of great players. Mike Stade back in the day. Willis Stelly did a great job. David Harrison with the Ole Miss, a defensive end. Okie Woods. I mean, I could just talk player after player. Brad Banna that played at USC, 17 years in the NFL, tight end. Coach Stelly, Mahaffey, and now a third coach.
Yeah, Coach Andy Martin's done a great job. He's done a great job with the team.
Isn't that interesting? 3 coaches can win state titles at U-High.
Yeah. There's a lot of talent in Baton Rouge when you live right down the street from LSU. There's a whole lot of talent. And one more shout out to is Vanderbilt Catholic. They lost in the semifinals to U-High. Good team, and a great job done by Tommy Min. Considering this is his first year, and then all the other circumstances with the hurricane, because I know they were affected by that too.
And Jace, he went over there from Central Catholic in Morgan City, and he just brought his physical toughness And you could tell when I watched them in the Jamboree in Laplace before the storm, they were in the Jamboree that I went to, which was East St. John was in that, and St. James and other teams. But I looked at them and I told you, this is the toughest Vandy Catholic team I'd seen in 30 years. And I went up to Coach Minton after the game, and he was upset because they lost that Jamboree. And I said, crew cut, He's.
Oh, yeah.
I said, look, man, y'all look good. And he's like, we lost. I said, Coach, I'm telling you, this team's got a shot,
Yeah.
They just look different. Vandy's going to be good next year. They got a lot of guys back.
Yep, it should be a good one. That's your state championship matchup. E.D. White, I talked about going to the state championship for the first time since 1981, but they haven't won one since 1969, so it's been a while.
Yeah, that's before I was born.
Yep. My dad was 1 year old, so
there you go.
Yep,
in a crib somewhere. There you go.
Yep. So great game, E.D. White. U-High. E.D. White has played a lot of really good teams, St. James, Letcher, St. Thomas More, but I don't know if it gets any tougher than what they're about to play this weekend.
It's the key with if U-High has their way on the O-line, they're going to control the clock, and that's the key. What E.D. White does, they like turnovers. They like intercepting passes. They like fumbles. They like to create turnovers. They're ball hawks. And U-High's got to handle the ball properly. The running backs can't put the ball on the ground. And I don't think U-High does a lot of that anyway. So look for U-High ball control. That's just my opinion on the game.
Right, and we talk about the offensive line, and Derek Rodeo Graham, and you have Brian Beck. That's a deadly 1-2 punch.
You got the mini-me running back too.
Yeah, you got Jason Barnes, who's really good.
Jason Barnes is unbelievable.
Yeah, he is really good. He can be that game changer, the X factor for them on offense.
I think he's a D1 punt kick returner.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Forget the size. I mean, the kid can play.
Yeah, he is really good. A lot of weapons. E.D. White's got some really good players of their own. Should be a good one. So if you can't make it to the Dome, well, make sure to make it to Cajun Field for that classic matchup for the Division II state championship, E.D. White and U-High. That's it for the private side. When we come back, Lee, we're going to talk about the public side, starting with Class 1A. It's Dome time, baby. We're talking about the matchups in the Superdome. You're watching the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Burkeen. We'll be right back.
If you need a paint job or repairs to your vehicle, go see Medine's Collision Center located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on Kincaid Avenue. The number to call is 357-7983. That's 357-7983. Your Baton Rouge Accident Advisors.
Welcome back to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Burkeen. And Lee, we're talking about the Dome. We're talking about these are all Dome matchups on Friday and on Saturday. It's going to be a good weekend if you're a high school football fan and a football fan in general.
I've been for 30 years in a row. I'm just going to take a break one time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know what I do when the season's over, but I'm watching film all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And, I watch 10, 12, 13 games a day, and I work. When I leave here, I'll take this LSU shirt off. I'll put a shirt on, got to go back to raising money and running the company. And so I'm going to kind of relax, take it in. And the good thing, I've seen all these teams play, but we're going to start with 1A, I believe, right?
Yep, so this is 1A. Let's go down to it, Lee. So this is your Class 1A state championship game. Spoiler, Oak Grove, they were trying to go for something that's been unprecedented in their program history.
They're the champ.
They're the two-time defending champ. And they're going up to 2A. It'll be a great swan song for them to emerge and really be a good curtain call for them to go and move up to 2A with a Class 1A state championship. Logan Sports said, I don't think so.
They were like Rocky Balboa. They took Rocky down, man. They took down Apollo Creed, right? It was like the Rocky movie. But Logan Sports sitting pretty nice. But Homer, man, they got a good team.
Yeah,
this could go either way. And you know what's crazy about this, Jace? These two teams are like 20 miles apart.
Yeah, Logan Sport and Homer. And Homer just defeated a team in Haynesville that's the oldest rivalry in high school football.
I just want people to know this because if you're not from Shreveport, they might not realize that Homer and these two teams are like, as they say, down the street from one another. So they know each other. The kids know each other. And that makes it even more special that the parents even know each other. Some of the parents that went to Logansport went to Homer.
Right.
And some of the people that went to Homer went to Logansport.
Yeah.
And I've been to Shreveport a lot. And these towns, they would be closer, but when they're off the highway, there's a lot of highway drive, but they're they're the closest school to one another outside of Manny, okay?
Yeah.
But I like these weren't my original picks. Oak Grove was my pick, but I'm going to take Logansport and Kevin McGee.
Yeah.
And Boykins at quarterback and what they're doing, and they've got a great OD line. Yep. Homer, I'm happy to see him back in the state championship game. It's been a long time, and I think they're doing a great job at Homer, but this could go either way.
It should be a good one. You talking about their quarterback and Boykins. They got a great receiver that you talk about in Claybrook. He's only going. He's a junior. He's a junior. He's really good.
And the 6'4" receiver was on the cover of our
magazine. Jacob Ontario. They got a really good passing game, and I have to go with Logansport. Oak Grove was my original pick too. And anytime you say, okay, I beat your pick, you're gonna have to go with the team that beat your pick, and I have to go with the Logansport. Now Homer. It's been a great season for them, and anytime I don't even remember a time where Haynesville was just shut out 40-0 like that. I mean, that's been pretty incredible that Homer can do that, and like you said, Homer's got some great athletes too.
They got many.
They got really good skill guys, and it's going to be a really good, refreshing matchup too in 1A. We've seen Oak Grove a lot of times. We've seen West St. John and those type of teams. Now Logansport's been in the mix, but this is the first time they've been back since 2016. And then for Homer, it's been 1985, so it's been a long time for Homer. It's really good to see Coach Richie Casey and Homer get to that state championship. They were close last year, so I think
1985 is when MTV was almost about started, man. Yeah. I mean, that's a long time ago. But you know what I like about Homer, Jace? If I had a trophy to give out to the team that played the best playing both sides of the ball, their program is the best at it in the state with kids playing both sides of the ball. And they don't look tired, meaning they're conditioned. They play mostly the same 11, 12, 13 kids. And you know how announcers always say, oh, they're going to wear out. Oh, they've been on the field too long. Not this team. This team can go 100 reps on defense and not miss a beat. And that's what's so tough about beating Homer. They don't get tired, and they're very athletic. I mean, they've got linebackers that are about 215. There might be 5'8", 9, but, boy, they're very strong. And they've got some good players. Like they got 2 6'4" receivers that play DB that are very tough to guard. So it's going to be a challenge. I think it's going to be one of the great games in the Dome.
I think so. I think it's going to be an evenly matched game. It might come down to the very end as far as who wins this football game. But I'm going to give the slight edge to Logansport to pull it out.
Congratulations to Richie Casey for getting Homer to a state championship game. You deserve it, man. You do a great job at Homer. Former Homer player, former Louisiana Tech player.
And Kevin McGee, I'll give a shout out to him too because he's actually won the only 2 state championships at the school. He's won one as a player, and he was a head coach back in 2016. So it's pretty tough to win a championship as a player and as a coach at your own school.
Hey, look, 9 years ago I watched the national championship with Kevin McGee in a restaurant in San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah, he told me that.
Me and a bunch of coaches from Shreveport met at the coaches convention in San Antonio, and it took us 2 hours to find a TV that would allow us to watch a football game because the San Antonio Spurs were playing that night. And can you believe that most of San Antonio did not want us to watch that national championship game?
Because the Spurs were on?
The Spurs own San Antonio, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just letting you know, if you go on vacation with the wife, and don't go during NBA basketball season because if there's a football game on, they're not going to turn the channel. We asked Coach McGee. We went to like 12 restaurants trying to find a football game, and we finally found a place that nobody wanted to eat. Like, had a little bitty TV, like, 10 inches wide. And it was Clemson, Alabama, first national championship game.
Okay.
And I think Clemson won.
Okay, so that was the
Watson.
That was the Watson 2-point conversion play. Okay.
Our little receiver from the Oakland Raiders,
Hunter Renfro.
Yep. So we finally got to watch it. We got to eat. I don't know what they had. It was not good food, but it was all 5 of us only in the restaurant. And we finally found a place. And we were taking a cab. That was expensive, so we were cabbing all over the city.
Wow, that's a great story.
Yeah, Coach McGee, remember that?
Yeah, but it should be a really good one. In case you're wondering, that is going to be in the Dome. First game on Saturday morning. So wake up early, get your tickets for the early game, 12 o'clock on Saturday. Class 1A state championship game between Logansport and Homer. When we come back, Lee, we're going to talk about Class 2A, and we'll mention that only team that has a chance for a repeat that is left. You're watching the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Burkeen.
Be sure to take your car and truck for all your tire needs to Treads and Care Tire Company located in Central. The number to call is 331-8144. Family owned and operated since 1971. That's Treads and Care Tire Company.
Welcome back to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Burkeen. We're going to talk about Class 2A, and it should be a good one between two teams that are definitely familiar of playing in this game, and that is number 1 Manny trying to go for a second straight state championship. I believe this is their third straight year in a row they made a state championship game. They're playing Amite, who is definitely very familiar with the setting of playing in the state championship. They've won a couple of times too. They won a state championship when they've had a receiver at the LSU, Devontae Lee. They had it when Sopsher was there too.
Michael Carr way back in the day.
Yeah, that was
before you were born.
Yeah, that was before my days.
The great Michael Carr at quarterback.
Yep. And so Amy's been in the Dome a couple of times. Manny's been in the Dome a couple of times. So it's not like both these two teams are unfamiliar with the stage. Now, Manny, they got their best shot. I mean, Avoyles was this close of getting that. It was 40-38. Manny had a last-minute interception to seal the deal. But, man, Avoyles was this close at getting it done and going to the state championship for the first time. And then Jonesboro Hodge made a really good run. They came up short against Amy in the semifinals. Yeah. But I think when you play in these meaningful games, like when you're Coach Jess Curtis and your Coach Powell from Amy, I mean, your team has played in these type of games so many times, and maybe that paid the difference, that made the difference in order to go to the state championship game against two really good football teams in the Royals and Jonesboro Hodge. But let's just face it, they haven't been in the limelight as much as those two teams have.
Well, I'll look at Jess Curtis, Jace, at Manny, and I'll look at a guy that's fairly young, and it's mind-boggling that I think he could be an 8, 9, 10-time state championship coach before he's 60 years old, before he's 55. He's a young guy, and he's kind of like the Fitzhugh coming up in this classification from Ouachita Christian. Manny's going to win a lot of state titles in the next 10 years. Will they beat Amite? I don't know. They're my pick from the get-go. I'm sticking with them. Amite is super talented, Jace. But so was Avoyles, and so was Jonesboro Hodge. Any of those four we mentioned could have went to this game. Manny's just super powerful. They're just so good. I mean, it's just so well-run, well-oiled. I mean, they got 60 kids they can rotate in and out. They got 5 running backs they can rotate in and out. Their speed, you can't match it, but Amite can. And if Amite shows up like they did against Jonesboro Hodge, it's going to be a great game. It's going to be another 35-28, 42-35 game. Now, people say, why so many points? Because Manny's going to probably score a lot of big plays because Amite gives up big plays, and Amite has a lot of big playmakers. And, Manny's really more like a 21-0 type team with the ground and pound. But I think they're going to have some big plays on that turf field. I think this is to me one of the best games in the whole Classic in the Superdome. Jess Curtis is the hottest young coach in the state of Louisiana again. I mean, he's got a chance to win. What is this, 4 or 3 for him?
This will be his third overall, and then they've been to the state championship the last 3 years. But they lost 3 years ago. That's when they played Faraday, and Faraday won that game. But they won last year, and they have a chance to go back-to-back.
And Manny's young. I mean, Amite's a senior-laden team.
Yep.
So this is Amite's chance to win, or they're going to be rebuilding. Where Manny, they're not losing a lot off this team.
Yeah, so Amite's trying to go for their 6th state championship. The last one came in 2018. That was the group I was just telling you about with Sopsher and Devontae Lee and that group. Yeah. And then as far as Manny, they're trying to win their 3rd overall. And when we talked about it, I mean, Jonesboro Hodge was up 13-0 in that game against Amy. When Amy just roared back, JaVale Gilmore had himself a great game.
Big time
recruit that Amy has. And then Manny, it was back and forth. And actually, Wolves had a chance to beat them earlier this year. So Wolves came up just this short both times, and it was a classic game. And you know that this was one of those games that was going to be probably an hour and a half, because both those two teams like to run the football. But, man, Manny and Amy, I mean, you talk about Class 2A right now. I mean, those are the staples in Class 2A. Those are the two most well-known programs in 2A.
And they're very different. Like, A-Meet's a big play team. Again, Manny's ground and pound. You know, they're going to just try and hold that 9-minute drive, but I think they're going to have a lot of big plays. A-Meet's got the scariest-looking OD line in the state. I mean, these guys are huge, Jace. When they go on the field, people go, this is a 2A team? I mean, A-Meet's got about 9 linemen that are over 6'3", over 300, and they're not – I mean, they're put together. And then they've got Gilmore, who's a DN at 6'4", 220, right. And they've got another DN that's 6'4", 220. I mean, they're an imposing-looking team, but Manny's O-line is big and strong. Their backs are strong, and it's going to be a war. Yeah.
I mean, London Williams, he's a leading rusher in the entire state by a good bit. And then at quarterback, we're going to hear his name a lot as a safety linebacker type, and it's Tackett Curtis.
Tackett's incredible,
he's
man.
He's an incredible player.
And he plays defense for him.
Yeah.
Who has your starting quarterback on defense? I mean, they're not scared of him. He's not getting hurt because the guy's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 6'3". He's about 215. He runs a 4.5 40. You know who he reminds me of? And I don't want to – Coach Jess Curtis, don't get mad at me.
Which is his nephew, right?
Right. Don't get mad at me, but it's a great – what I'm about to say is just the ultimate intense guy. Bill Romanowski.
Okay.
Who played linebacker in the NFL.
Yeah.
Now, he's not Bill Romanowski size yet, but I think by the time he gets filled out, when Tackett becomes 240, like Bill Romanowski, he's going to look just like him. You know, Clay Matthews was kind of that way.
Yeah. And intense,
intense with speed and just a huge frame, and he's lean 215. He's 6'3", all of it. Mm-hmm. And he's playing quarterback because why? That's where they need him.
Yeah.
And he's not a guy you come up and try and tackle. Okay, he will run over you. Right. He will sprint past you. And then when he goes off the field, he goes back out there as a DN linebacker, safety.
Well, in high school, it's often that you put your best player in at quarterback, because in high school, that's your best player touching the football on every single play. And I don't blame Manny for doing that, because he's their best player.
But when people watch the game, they're going to go, is he a quarterback? Is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? That's how gifted he is. I mean, he patrols the middle of their defense. And you don't want to run his way because, I mean, the guy's just super. Like I said, he wants to finish tackles and make you pay. And Tackett's a guy you don't see come out of Louisiana very often. He's only a junior.
Yeah, and he's getting recruited. He's getting recruited pretty much by everybody in the country.
See this shirt right here? LSU's trying to get him.
They're trying to get him, and it'll be really good.
Michigan offered him beginning of the year.
Yeah.
They don't come here often, Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah, Nebraska. I mean, a lot of the Big Ten schools have really liked him. And I can see him being that type of player, and hopefully he comes to LSU and becomes like a Craig Stelz type of player.
He's bigger than Craig. So we're talking linebacker.
Right.
We're talking the first-round pick of the Saints from Ohio State.
Warner,
and he's going to be bigger than him.
Right. Yeah, that's a good comparison.
That's what you're looking at with Tackett.
Yep, but a lot of Saturday players will be playing the game. You talk about Tackett. I mean, Gervais committed to Mississippi State. A lot of talent, and there's more guys obviously on both teams, but it should be a great one. Two conflicting styles to Manny A-Meet.
And A-Meet's got about 15 kids, Jace, that could go D2, D3, or 1AA, and 2 or 3 D1. 15 in the senior class.
Yep, should be a good one. So you have A-Meet coming out, right?
No, I have Manny.
Oh, yeah, Manny. Okay, I'm Manny, too. I mean, that's who I had at the very beginning to repeat. So, but that, just in case you're wondering, as far as when that game would be played, that will be the second game on Friday. So after Washington Christian Southern Lab, that will be the next game on Friday.
You must have me pick the wrong team, man.
Okay, I was just making sure. But that's what we have. So we both agree there, Manny coming out at Class 2A. And I think we both picked Manny, by the way, at the very beginning. So it works out. So now we're going to talk about, after commercial break, we'll talk about Class 3A. And we talk about Steelers and Ravens and, like, intensity games. Well, this might be the most intense in 3A. We'll talk more about it. You're watching the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee King.
come and visit the majestic mansion in the marsh, Gros Savon, Waterfowl, and Wildlife Lodge. Gros Savon is the true sportsman's paradise. Gros Savon Lodge has everything for you from fresh and saltwater fishing, alligator hunting, waterfowl hunting, and eco tours. Located south of Lake Charles. Call 337-598-2357 or visit www.grossavon.com for more information and schedule your trip to the majestic mansion in the marsh, Gros Savon, Waterfowl, and Wildlife Lodge, the true sportsman's paradise today.
Welcome back to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Keene. And as I was just saying before commercial break, Lee, you talk about just great rivalry games. I mean, Auburn, Alabama, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore, and I mean, Ohio State, Michigan, just like teams that just hate each other. Well, you're going to get that intensity in this Class 3A championship game.
Texas
A&M, Texas, Oklahoma. I mean, we can go on and on.
Oregon State. Yeah, we can go on and on.
Right. But, yeah, this is going to be exactly that between Sterlington and Union Parish. Yeah, I wouldn't say both these teams really are friendly with each other. That's the case. Sterlington, I thought that was a very impressive performance, how they were able to just shut out Church Point. And Church Point's been pretty dominant. I'm pretty shocked at how the score ended up being.
I tell you what, Sterlington, I bow to that. I mean, to shut out Church Point, who was just shutting out everybody offensively, and then you shut them out 38-0. Oh my goodness! I mean, Church Point was one of the hottest teams in the state, and then St. Martinville got beat by Union Parish, who was a hot team. St. Martinville, yeah, you
got that one right.
St. Martinville has a lot of talent, but these two teams, Jace, are the same teams. They both do the same thing. They run the ball. And you might not see 5 passes the whole game. This is not a game to watch for, like, let's throw the ball in the air and eat our popcorn and watch it, right?
This is not for the finesse.
No, this
finesse
is Oklahoma drill, 58 of the 60 minutes. This is two teams that are going to just go in the trenches, are just going to go to war and battle it out. I don't, it's just going to be a great game. And the clock, this game might only last an hour and a half. I mean, when you don't throw the ball, the game's quick. And Union Parish is going to come right at you. Sterlington's going to come right at you. They both run it. And I don't know. I mean, I'll take Union Parish in this, only because they're a little bit bigger, more physical in their O-line. Sterlington shocks me on how good they've been this year. I mean, to beat Church Point like that. But I'm going to take Union Parish in the end. And look, I'm just flipping a coin, coaches. I think it might go down to it might end up being 3-0. It might be 10-7. It's not going to be a high scoring game.
No,
it's not going to be high scoring. It'll be long drives. I wouldn't shock me if most drives average 6 minutes, maybe 7 minutes. What's that? 2 teams getting the ball a quarter, Jace?
Yeah, you might see
one time each.
Well, we did see a game already where Catholic held the ball for a whole quarter, so it might be one. It might be limit. Like each possession is going to be very precious for really both. So these teams.
They might get the ball 5 or 6 times each in the whole game.
Right. Yep.
Think about that. If you're a fan, I mean, you got to make use of that drive, and they don't like to throw it. Now, Cole Dyson is a better thrower, I think, than Sterlington's quarterback. And Cole Dyson's very athletic, and he's like another running back. But when they do throw it, they got 2 huge tight ends at Union Parish. They don't really throw to the receivers that much. And their tight ends are massive. 6'4", 240. Riker Wallace, they got some other guys. But, I'm going with Union Parish's defense, offense overall. Sterlington's a hot team. Man, again, it might be like 3-0, 6-3. 10-7, but I'm going Union Parish.
In case you're wondering, both these two teams played each other this year, so they are familiar. And Sterlington won the first time around. They won 28-12. That was the final score the first game. But I'm going to go. Let's make it interestingly. I'm going to go with Sterlington. That was the team I actually picked. It
could be them.
Yeah, that was the team I picked from the very beginning, and they showed me a lot from winning 38-0 against Church Point, beating Madison Prep. I mean, those are just very impressive wins that they've had throughout this whole stretch. I've been very impressed with how they were able to play, and great defense. You're going to run the football, of course, but they can throw it if they need to on some plays. I like Sterlington, but it should be a good game. Both teams try and go for a state championship. It's been a couple years. Union Parish, they went to the state championship last year, so they're trying to close the deal after losing last year. But it's been since 2013 since they've won. And then Sterlington, believe it or not, they've been to the state championship a couple of times, but they've only won one state championship. And that was the year against Madison Prep when they won in 2016.
The reason I'm picking Union Parish, Jace, is because the best D-line and linebackers they faced is Union Parish.
Yep.
Madison Prep's not even as strong as Union Parish's front seven, and neither was Westlake. Or even Church Point had a good D-line, but not as good as this Union Parish defense. This is going to be a rebuilding team after this year for Union Parish. They lose their whole defense. They do get their little running back,
Trey Holly,
who's only a junior.
Yep.
And I think Sterlington can kind of contain him, but they've got a couple other backs.
Mm-hmm.
But again, look, flip a coin. This is going to be a close game.
I have Sterlington to sweep Union Parish this year, but I know Coach Spatafore is not going to like that, and I really don't think Coach Doty and Coach Spatafore are the best of friends. But it should be a great one.
Well,
That's what makes this game even more intriguing.
You know what I like? I like that Doty and Spatafore are both intense.
Yeah,
I love it. I mean, that's why their teams are good. They take the personality of their coach. And they're both strong, and they hit that weight room 12 months out of the year, and they run their offense, and they practice the same 8 plays, and they do it well. And I love and admire these two coaches. And, you're usually not well liked when you're winning a lot, first of all. And these are two coaches that win a lot.
Yeah. And there's been a couple of times where after the game they exchange a friendly exchange at the end,
and it's among a lot of coaches. I mean, hey, look, players go to this school and they might live in this area and they live, in that community, and you start winning, and then when you play them, you don't want to lose. And this is a bragging North Louisiana game.
Yeah, guys. Monroe. Yeah.
One's Ruston and one's Monroe.
Right.
But still.
Right.
Even though one's in the Lincoln Parish area, meaning Union Parish, Farmerville.
They're pretty close, yep.
They still North Louisiana. Again, hey, it's a toss-up, and whoever wins, whatever, but it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, I guarantee you one thing. This game is not for the faint of heart. I can tell you that.
Look, when these two teams get off the bus on the OD line, they look the part. Especially Union Parish on their O-line. These guys look like bodybuilders. They look like they're kin to Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay? I mean, Spatafore is one of the best weight room coaches in the state. And in Doty's a pretty good coach, too, when it comes to the weightlifting and his program. So, hey, be a great game. Don't miss it. Go to the Dome. We're promoting the game. Sell it out. Bring your pom-poms or your flag or whatever you have for the teams, and then have fun, eat some popcorn.
That game will be on Saturday, and speaking of promoting, the game will be on Saturday at 3:30. This is the second game on Saturday. Don't miss it. Sterlington and Union Parish is going to be a bloodbath. I can guarantee you that. When we come back, we'll talk about 4A, and I just want to say something. Wasn't really the matchup we expected after last week, but we'll talk more about it on the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Burkeen.
Looking for a used car? Harvey Autos has 3 dealerships, which means 3 times the used vehicles. They've got everything from fuel-efficient compacts to luxury models, even hybrids, and certified pre-owned with a warranty. Check out John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, or Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City.
Welcome back to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Burkeen. I'm your host today, Jace LeJeune. We've talked about the high school football playoffs since the very beginning, and, well, we're reaching towards the very end, but it's going to be a very exciting finale this week, and we're going to talk about the Class 4A state championship. Well, everybody was penciling in, myself included, and Lee, that we would expect an End the Car and Neville matchup. Lee picked Neville. I picked End the Car. Well, unfortunately, we're not going to get that matchup.
And you know what? It's okay, right? Because we're here to talk about the 2 teams that made it,
which is Westgate and Warren Eason. And first, I just have to say, End the Car kind of brings that Alabama mentality where people are just scared of playing End the Car, playing Alabama. But Westgate, they were not scared. They heard all week long, even from us, that they really had no chance to beat and the car, and just to have that performance, what they did to defeat in the car and go to the state championship 27-20. In order to go to the Dome, you're going to have to go through a team like in the car, and just have to say, Coach Ron Antoine in Westgate, what a performance that was to defeat, and what a great team performance it was to prove us wrong and beat in the car in order to have your chance to play in the state championship.
I watched that game. You were at the Zachary game.
Yeah.
And you watched Destrehan Zachary.
Right.
I watched Westgate and Edna Carr, and I'm going to tell you something. I have the utmost respect for Anton and that team from New Iberia. Westgate's in New Iberia, by the way, if you're not from that area. They have fought so hard every year, Jace, and come so close. They've had several teams not make it to the state title game. This team is so gritty and so tough that they were not going to be denied. When you watch the game, and me and the other, I don't know, several thousand people that watched it and the ones that were there, they fought Edna Carr. Edna Carr was shocked. They were shocked in the intensity that Westgate brought to that game. There was not one play that Westgate went, as they say, half speed. And, you know, Edna Carr is full throttle machine, like you said. And what shocked me in this game was that Westgate pressured Edna Carr's quarterback all game long and hit him a lot. And come second half, it wore on him, okay? They had 2 running backs go out early in the game for Edna Carr with injuries. And that changed things up for them. They went more one-dimensional, but Edna Carr never goes one-dimensional. They do whatever they want to do usually. And who did they shut down? Aaron Anderson.
Yeah.
Who wasn't even a factor. I'm going to tell you what, Jordan Doucette, and I told you this the other day, he was a receiver his junior year. I watched him play at Denham Springs. And I was like, that guy is electrifying. I want to nickname it Electric. Jordan Electric Doucette, okay? He's a 4.3 legit on the field. He's a 4.3 hand-timed. Jace, he was the quarterback Friday night. When he did those delay draws on Edna Carr, nobody makes Edna Carr look slow. He did. He came through there like he was running a 4-flat 40, and they could not stop Jordan Doucette. And then they brought in Brennan Landry, who had a great catch at the end of the game to extend a drive to run the clock out, who's the other quarterback who played receiver.
Yeah.
And Danny Lewis, their 6'5 receiver, who's 220. He's a beast.
He's a matchup nightmare.
He didn't drop anything. Edna Carr's got like 5 D1 DBs. They just did what they wanted. Edna, look, hats off to Bryce Brown, one of the best coaches in the state. Edna Carr will be back. They're going to win more titles. But Westgate, out of all the teams that made the Dome, I never saw a game with more heart than that team this past Friday night.
It was incredible. And you look at the numbers, Lee. This is very rare what we're seeing in 4A. And the Cars, they haven't reached a state championship game since 2014. Like, make a state championship. They made the state championship every year since then. They've played in 10 of the last 11 state championship games.
Dominating.
And this will be the first time since then. And that's the theme in 4A. Because not only are we talking about Westgate defeating and the Car, but Warren Eason, too, defeating Neville in the fashion they've had. Remember the great teams Neville had when it was just Neville and then the Car. Neville beat Warren Eason 3 times. So not only did Warren Eason beat Neville and won that game, they dominated that football game. It wasn't even close.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about how their defense has been the strength this year. Offense, they had over 500 yards.
Well, look, I watched Warren Easton week 3, and they were coming off the hurricane. They were a little sluggish, trying to get back. You know, they'd missed their first 2 games. They have come so far. They're a different team right now than week 2, week 3. They're a whole different team. And I've been talking about their linebacker, Jereah Johnson, their junior. Number 1 is Jersey's number 1. When you go to the Dome, I know your dad and you're going to watch the games, and all the people watching, check out Jersey number 1, this linebacker, Jereah Johnson. Mm-hmm. He was MVP of the state last year. He is unbelievable. I mean, LSU needs to offer him. He's about 6 foot, about 215. I call it a football 4.4. He probably runs 4.6. But on the field, Jace, he looks like Damone Clark. He looks at the field and goes, okay, I own this field. And you know what he did against Neville? He owned it.
Yeah.
And they had Will Campbell, they had A.J. Allen, they had all these great players, DuBose at receiver, Batterford at quarterback. And that was the story of beating Neville. They shut Neville down. Neville only scored 17 points. That's not a lot.
I don't think anybody has been as dominant in these playoffs than Warren Eason right now. We talked about it, over 500 yards of offense, a quarterback catcher Conley threw for 3 touchdowns, and then defense, like you mentioned, they gave up only 54 total yards in the second half to Neville. I mean,
so hey, here's the story of this game. Here's the story: Johnson against Doucette. Doucette delay draws. That's a linebacker play.
Yep.
So whoever wins that battle wins this game because they love that delay draw. They ran it about 12 times, Jace, against Edna Carr, and each play went over 15 yards.
Right. Yep.
Doucette.
And when they throw the football, they're going to try and line up Daniel Lewis wherever they can.
They just throw it up in the air.
Yep. So he's going to be a key player too to watch out for.
And Westgate's OD line, they just fight, man. They gritty. And Warren Easton, their defense has really come a long way. Their D line's pretty big, and they're young. They were a young group, and now they're experienced. Here's what I'm going to do. These weren't my original picks.
Yeah, me either. We had Car and Neville.
I had Neville winning it all. Anybody that's listening or watching, but
so did a lot of people, I'm sure.
I'm not picking based on what I want. I'm picking on destiny. Destiny's this: Warren Easton was stopped from several state titles by Edna Carr.
It's been since World War II, 1942.
Warren Easton his destiny's on their side. They don't have to beat Edna Carr this time in the state title game.
They don't have to beat Neville in the state championship game.
Westgate's a great opponent. They got there.
They beat Edna Carr.
They beat Edna Carr, but I'm going with Warren Easton because I just feel like destiny's on their side. And that staff at Warren Easton, they deserve a state title, I believe. And look, Westgate too, man, Antoine. But they haven't been to a state championship game.
This is their first ever state championship game.
I'm just picking it not based on who's better, this and that. I think it's going to be an even game, okay? Because speed on both sides of the ball and 2 great defenses. They have a lot of great defensive players at Westgate too. I really believe it's going to be the most funnest game to watch.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the fun game. It's going to be a game of big plays, big interceptions, big runs,
and that
big
has
catches.
It has been 4A the last couple of years. That's been the most entertaining game to watch.
This is going to be the fun game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching this one.
But I'm going Warren Easton because of destiny.
Yeah, I am too. I'm really pulling for Jerry Phillips and Warren Easton to finally win a state championship. They've been in the state championship game. They've been in the semis since the last couple of years, but they haven't won a state championship since 1942. And just look at the last couple of state championships, Lee. Lost in the car, 35-34. Lost in the car, 28-20. They lost to Neville by a score of 28-27.
I was at all those games.
They were this close
now,
every single time.
I wasn't around World War II. Now, I just want to get that out there right now.
No.
But here's the deal. Jerry Phillips is a great coach. He's the only head coach without a state title game that's played in the state championship game as many times as any of these guys that have won them, right? Like Jess Curtis, Fitzhugh, all these guys. And Antone, again, my hat's off to you for Westgate. The whole city of New Iberia and Laurelville and St. Martinville are going to be at this game pulling for Westgate. And Jace, they're going to have the biggest crowd, I predict, of any team in the Dome. I think they'll have 25,000 fans because St. Martinville, Laurelville, and all of New Iberia will be there supporting Westgate. And obviously New Orleans, having Warren Easton at home, they always bring 15 to 20.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game, and looking forward to see some fresh blood.
So we're talking about 40,000, 45,000 fans maybe.
Yeah. It gets really good in New Orleans, and Warren Easton. I love these in the core Warren Easton type of games where they have to bring the bands because the bands get really into it. Westgate, they're going to bring their crowd. I do New Iberia is going to be really showing up for that that game.
I want to say this looking at the camera. If you're watching this show and you're an alumnus of Southeastern or Northwestern or McNeese or Nicholls State, even Tulane or ULL, offer Jordan Doucette a scholarship. He's 5'8", 145 pounds. He runs a 4.3 40. He reminds me of Tyrann Mathieu for an offensive player.
Mm-hmm.
He is that kind of guy.
Has that mindset. That
he is a big-time playmaker. He's that dude. He changes the game. And look, LSU, they're not even above this guy. LSU needs a playmaker like that. And look, if Saban was here, he'd probably go,
Yeah.
the guy's got a little something to him. We need to offer him.
And guess who he's currently committed to right now? Southeastern. He is a Southeastern commit right now.
They got to hold on to him.
They got to hold on to him.
Sorry about that, Coach. He's a line, but you know what? If he's in the Southland, he's going to do some damage at slot receiver. Can
you imagine him and Larvadane together and receiver?
From Riverside.
Riverside. That's going to be pretty deadly to see those two guys next couple of years.
Just throw the ball in the slot and let him go.
Yep. Well, should be a great one. Warren Eason, they have been red hot. Look at their whole playoff run. Westgate, they broke through the door. They defeated Goliath. David defeated Goliath there.
Scotlandville.
Yep. So that's true. Warren Eason has actually improved a lot since that Scotlandville game and really early in the season.
Like I said, I think it's down between the linebacker Jarrell from Warren Easton, who's the best linebacker in Louisiana. He's only a junior.
Yep.
Against Jordan Doucette running that delay draw or Doucette running period.
Yep.
When you come after him, that's when things happen. He's kind of like the mini-me of Tim Tebow, all right? When the pocket breaks down, that's when you go, oh, no.
Yep.
Who's gonna spy and get him because he's so fast?
I'm sure it'll have to be Jure, and it's going to be a great matchup. Like a one-on-one matchup, that's a great one to watch.
And on turf,
you're
faster.
Yeah. So nothing's slowing anybody down.
No.
That's the case. So that's your 4A state championship game. Warren Eason, Westgate. Whoever wins, well, it's going to be a celebration because Warren Eason, like you said, having won since the 40s. Westgate has never won a state championship. Somebody's going to be celebrating at the end of that game. It's going to be a party for whoever wins that one. That game will be the last game on Friday night. So that will be the finale, the dessert. For that Friday game will be Warren Easton and Westgate. When we come back, we have one more left to go, and that is Class 5A, and it's going to be a very intriguing matchup.
One more.
Yep, one more, Lee. We're watching the sports. You are watching the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Burkeen.
If you need a paint job or repairs to your vehicle, you've got to go to Medine's Collision Center located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on Kincaid Avenue. The number to call is 357-7983. That's 357-7983. Family owned since the 1960s.
Welcome back to the to the Sports Scouting Report podcast.
That's all right.
I'm so used to seeing classes and all that.
We're getting into the game, so it's all right.
So this is going to be the Class 5A state championship game, and we're going to talk about the first semifinal game. I was there. I was at the Zachary Destrehan game, and at halftime of that game, it was 14-13, but I had the feeling like that has to be the most dominant 14-13 game I've ever seen. Like, Zachary was really controlling the tempo of the football game. They were flying all over the field on defense. I was very impressed of how they were on defense, especially when Destrehan was bigger than they were. They were swarming to the football, and we talk about Charles Robertson and Eli Holstein. Man, like Eli Holstein, there were a couple of throws. He threw it deep, and he just laid it in there like in the breadbasket. I mean, he throws a beautiful deep ball, and with their defense, with their ability to throw the football, their pro-style type of offense that they run, they are tough to beat, and Zachary we saw that. They ran away in the second half over a good Destrehan football team. And you look at the other side, Lee, kudos to you. You got this one right. Ponchatoula, they defeated Acadiana 43-36.
I think I was the only one to pick them.
Yeah, I picked Acadiana.
I think I'm the only person on the planet to pick them over Acadiana.
That's been the theme. I mean, look at some of these giants that have lost. Oak Grove and the Car. Now Acadiana. I mean, those are some of the giants in the playoffs being upset.
You got to watch film. I mean, I watched Ponchatoula the last 5 years, going back to T.J. Finley and all the good players they've had there. Going before T.J. Finley, the quarterback that went to Georgia Tech.
Right.
They've had a lot of talent with Hank. Hank won a state championship, Jace, way back at Archbishop Shaw. And, he's got his 300th win. This could be his last
Congratulations, Coach Tim, on
man.
that. That's incredible.
Long career, coached at West Jefferson after Shaw's, done a great job at Ponchatoula. You know, you want him to win it. This could be it. I'm picking Zachary. I'm sticking with Zachary. I think Zachary beating Destrehan and West Monroe is phenomenal. I think Ponchatoula beating Acadiana was phenomenal. They both had to beat state championship teams to get there, Jace. Holstein special. I've watched Holstein. His first start, I was at his game against St. Aug 2 years ago, and he looked like Terry Bradshaw in his youth, okay? And he's going to be the best quarterback. If he signs with A&M, he's only a junior.
Yeah.
But if he signs with A&M, he's going to be a thorn in a lot of people's, especially this team here. He's going A&M. He's going to be their best quarterback that they've ever probably had.
Since Manziel, yeah.
And Johnny was not this type of guy.
Right.
He wasn't 6'4", 220, like Holstein. And Charles Roberson's committed to UL, the Cajuns, but
that's a steal.
He's going to possibly get more offers. He's 6'2". He's a great – they got other receivers. Zachary's got a big D-line. Justin Hamilton's a good player, number 670.
Right. Yep.
6'4", 285. He's the sleeper of that team. Braden Johnson's a heck of a running back from Ponchatoula.
He is. Talking about a guy that's also being slept on is Braden Johnson.
Matthews at safety, who was a former quarterback. He's highly recruited. They have a real good OD line. Look, Ponchatoula's not overly big, but you don't beat Acadiana by being soft. They're tough. This is a different Ponchatoula team, Jace. The O&D line is tough. Their linebackers are tougher. And their skill guys are really good. Amarian is committed to Notre Dame at receiver.
You're right.
Walker.
You have Winters who's committed to McNeese, I think.
Elijah Winters.
Right.
Who's another big-time offensive guy, defensive guy. You got
TJ Finley's brother.
Cody, who's 6'5", 190. There's a lot of parts and pieces there. But here's the deal. Can they stop Zachary? No. Can Zachary slow down Ponchatoula? It's going to be a tough job for them with Braden at running back. I don't think anybody stopped Braden at running back.
We know.
So
we know that.
this is going to be like the last state championship game Zachary played in against West Monroe, where it was back and forth, and Zachary had to come from behind. Remember to beat West Monroe with a long pass to Hilton, a great pass.
Right.
This is going to be, in my opinion, like 35-28, 35-31. It's going to be back and forth. I wouldn't be shocked to see Braden run for 200 yards on turf.
Yep.
I wouldn't be shocked to see Holstein throw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns. And he's the factor.
Yeah.
Because one thing that Ponchatoula didn't have to worry about with Acadiana didn't have a big quarterback that runs like Holstein.
And, yeah, I guarantee they haven't played a quarterback like Eli. No.
And when Eli Holstein decides to run on a draw,
he can go. Yeah, he can go. He can run.
He's the deciding factor here. And I really believe on turf in the dome and when everybody goes 4 wide and everybody's keying on Roberson and all these other receivers Zachary has, he's going to run up the gut and score some touchdowns. I would not be shocked, Jace, if Eli Holstein has 2 or 3 rushing touchdowns in this game because they're going to be worried about all these skill players for Zachary.
Yeah.
And this guy here, he's 6'4", 220, runs a 4.6, and he runs it very well.
He can run. He was out running on one play, Destrehan's total secondary.
He's the most talented quarterback besides Walker Howard I've seen. I think he's the most advanced. He's the biggest.
Yeah.
And Arch is going to be good from Newman. He's going to be a great one, but he's the most advanced of all 3 that I've seen. He's more advanced as a junior than even Walker Howard.
Yeah, I was so thrilled I got to call his game and also get the chance to see Eli in person. I can tell you, both of them are there's a reason why SEC schools are going at both of them.
Walker Howard's going to be a great quarterback.
Yeah.
Arch Manning's going to be a great quarterback. So will Eli Holstein.
Yep.
It's crazy that we might watch the NFL draft one day.
And then all 3 of those guys
wait a minute, we might see Chris drafted from Madison Prep.
Yeah.
We might see our couple of quarterbacks from Shreveport drafted. You might see 7 Louisiana quarterbacks drafted in this one class. That would be the most in the history of Louisiana football, Jace. Getting back to the game, I'm going to take Zachary in a close game. I think it's going to be a great game. I think Ponchatoula is going to play out of their mind. They're going to play incredibly good. they've never really been to a state title game.
Yeah, I looked at that just now, Lee. That's a good segue to it. It's been since 1951.
That's a long time. That's like never going almost.
Yeah, that's before like Elvis Presley. So it's been a long time.
1951 was prior to Billy Cannon, the late Billy Cannon.
Yep.
We're talking White Tittle time at LSU.
Yeah.
But the thing, hey, Zachary has a chance to win 4 state championships.
They're a dynasty with Coach David Birds, and this will be their 4th state championship since 2015.
They're used to going. This team does not get rattled. The only time I think they got defeated handily was last year at home against Alexandria High School, and they've been playing with a chip on their shoulder ever since.
They've always been in the semis or state championship game ever since 2015.
And Coach Brewerton, man, he's a Hall of Fame coach now. I mean, he doesn't have to even win another state title. He's got 3 state titles. This will definitely entrench him into the Louisiana Hall of Fame. This will give him 4. And you really want Hank to win this one.
Yeah.
Because it's been many years.
It feels like the stars are aligning for that to happen,
That's why it's going to be. That's why it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, it should be a good one.
Holstein against Braden Johnson.
Yeah.
Can Zachary stop Braden? No, they'll slow him down. They can't stop him.
No, you can't shut him down.
And Ponchatoula can't stop Eli. And if Zachary has the ball last,
I think it's going to be a track meet. I think it's going to be a back and forth football game with both those. But both those offenses are really good.
Special teams are strong for both teams. Mm-hmm. Ponchatoula's new quarterback, who's a junior.
He's been impressive.
He does everything well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm very impressed with this kid. And he's got another year, and he's not flashy, but man, for a first-year starter, he is really taken to learning from Hank Turney and that staff. And Gadarian does a great job with the O-line with Ponchatoula, one of the best O-line coaches in the state. Man, it's going to be a great – and look, all these 5A games end up being great games.
I'm afraid to pick against Ponchatoula because they've proven me wrong every single time.
And look, I'm just sticking with Zachary.
I'm going to stick with Zachary, but I'm afraid to go against Ponchatoula again because they've proven me wrong this whole playoffs.
If Ponchatoula was representing the state of Kentucky, they'd win the 5A state title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But this is Zachary, and this is a well-oiled machine. And you know what? It won't be a blowout.
No, I think it's going to be back and forth.
Most people that don't know anything about Ponchatoula will think it'll be a blowout. But I have the utmost respect for this Ponchatoula team, and they really have some good players. And the sleeper part of Ponchatoula, Jace, is that O-line at Ponchatoula is an underrated group of guys.
Yeah.
When your running backs getting 200, 250 yards a game, those O-linemen deserve.
Yeah, they do.
And they're all seniors.
Mm-hmm.
And, Cohen Troxclair, a lot of those guys that are seniors are 3-4-year starters. And so that's a challenge for Zachary's D-line.
That's going to be a great matchup because it's not like Zachary's going to be intimidated. They played a really big, really strong offensive line, Deschamps,
West Monroe.
Held their own, West Monroe. So they're not going to be intimidated by Ponchatoula's offensive line. But if Ponchatoula can run the football with Braden, it's going to be tough. It should be a really good football game.
These are the kind of O-lines that frustrate coaches like Brewerton, though, Jace, because they're not 300. They're 250, 240. They're quick.
They're quick.
And quick guys really frustrate you.
Yep. And they play everything discipline, sound, football. And I tell you, it's going to be
a battle.
It's going to be a battle. It should be a good one. Hank Tierney has a chance. A coaching legend has a chance. If this is his final game, that'll be one heck of a way to end it with a state championship if he does pull it off.
Well, all of Ponchatoula and LaRondre is going to be there, right? And all of Hammond.
Oh, yeah. Southeastern representatives, I'm sure, will be there.
They're all going to be there supporting Ponchatoula. I'm sure Ronald McClendon will probably come out. One of the greatest players. Reggie Walker went to Kansas State.
Yep.
And Zachary's got their alums now, right? Hilton and all their great players over the years.
Yeah, I just have to say, because they have the big jumbotron at Zachary, I think they're treating the Chris Hilton touchdown as like the Billy Cannon play at Zachary, because they've shown that on the jumbotron probably about 6 or 7 times. They're treating that as the Billy Cannon run.
That's a sore subject with Rebel fans, West Monroe now. You're laughing, but the Rebel fans are probably turning our show off. But
I know.
And look, West Monroe has had the heartbreak city the last few years. They have just fought so much to try and get back since that game, Jace, and they'll get back. Look, West Monroe is a great community. It's a different community. It's one of the most unique support communities I've ever seen. When the high school gets more support than the college, your football team's important, and that's West Monroe High School. And we'll see if Arledge comes back again. He's in his late 70s, but he's a great guy, and we'll see if he comes back next year.
Yeah, it'll be great to see if he can win a state championship too.
Yeah, before he retires.
Yeah, that'll be great to see. But 5A, that is the last game of should be a great football weekend. That will be the grand finale. Will be the last game on Saturday night between number 1 Zachary and number 3 Ponchatoula at 7 o'clock at the Caesar Superdome, Lee, and that's what I think we're pretty much done now with recapping all of the high school football state championship games.
The Caesar
Superdome now.
Oh,
yeah, I gotta get used to saying that.
It's not a car anymore. We don't want to mention the old car name.
No, not the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. The Caesar Superdome now.
All right, Caesar Superdome. You got me. You're already ahead of me on that. I guess I didn't go to a Saints game this year.
Yep.
So
I went the other week. It was really unique and weird to see Caesars on top of the Superdome, but.
Well, that's all you're seeing now, commercials, right, since the gaming's been approved, and it's kind of like the lead name, right? And then the casinos are there. So.
Yep, right. Sports betting has been very popular in Louisiana, so, yep, the Caesars Superdome. But you'll have 6 great games in the Dome, another state championship at Raging Cajun Field, and then next week we'll recap, and we'll just talk about who comes out as state champions, and we'll end it there. We'll end the road to the Dome or the road to state, and we'll talk about who comes out next week on top and who would win a state championship and how they did it.
And safe travels to all the mom and dads, grandparents, and families, to people coming down to the Dome. Just safety on the road. A lot of people traveling. A lot of families that are trying to get down. Probably a lot of them will leave Thursday, Jace.
Yeah.
To come down Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And also make sure, because this has been the last couple of years with COVID, make sure you get your rapid COVID tests and everything that you need to do to make sure, because I know they'll be checking in New Orleans.
Yeah, yep. It's a little probably stronger enforced than maybe some other areas of the state, and make sure you do that and get a lot of rest, because that's a marathon if you go to all the games. I've done it for 30 years, and let me tell you, you wake up at 7 in the morning, you eat your breakfast in the hotel. All of a sudden, it's 11 o'clock, the first game, and the last game doesn't end till about midnight.
11.
About midnight.
Yeah, 11. So you got 11 till 11.
Because if a game goes over, there's always 30 minutes between games.
Yeah.
So that is a long, fun day.
It's long. It could be long and exhausting, but fun. It should be a great weekend. I'm looking forward to go back, because last year was not able to go just because they didn't go to the Dome. They had to go to Natchitoches, and it's great to have this event back in the Dome after not having it last year.
And again, I know it sounds repetitive, but I hope every team's playing in the Dome next year. No offense to the other stadiums, again, to Tulane or ULL. I just want everything one weekend, one place, so everybody can be there. It's like a family. And when you have people like listen to our show, and you've been to a few of these, there are people that go to this that don't have kids playing, that are not even kin to any of these kids. They're not even associated with these teams. They just want to go take it in. And you can walk down the street and see people with Haynesville shirts on, or Manny, or
West
Monroe, or Catholic High Baton Rouge, your Bears, or whatever, wherever they're from, Slidell High School. And you can say, Coach, good seeing you, man. How are you doing? I mean, and everybody, we need to get that back.
Yeah. We do. And just in case you're wondering, the last minute note, and you're wondering about the programs, well, these are the programs of the schools that are left. So you're wondering why are there less and less programs on the table? Well, that's the reason why.
They either won it already, or they're still about to. And these are not the current programs, parents. These are programs since the 30 years ago I've been collecting just for fun. We've got our little setup shop for now. And by the way, we're maybe 2 weeks or less out from our studio being ready. Yeah, that's been in progress, and it's a good lead way to what I'm about to say, Lee, is if you're a college student out there, we definitely need some more helping hands just in order to get this up and going. I know we had a video podcast, but we're trying to make it bigger and better. And if you're out there, if you're a student, you're looking for your student hours, you're looking for experience, whatever it may be, make sure to contact us. You can go to, and you'll see it on the screen right now, but go to lafootballmagazine.com. You'll click contact us,
click that tab, and then you can put in your information and then contact us through that, and we'll make sure to reach back out to you. But if you're a college student, we definitely would need your assistance. We would need your help. And if you want experience, if you're trying to get into this profession, sports media profession, this is a great way to start out.
And you want to learn how to set up equipment. You want to learn equipment. You're still learning equipment. I'm still learning equipment at my age. But if you want to get into business and, like Jay said, get in the door and learn, and what job is better than your passion of sports? And we need young people that want to come in and learn while they're going to college. And we're not looking for adults as much. We're looking for people in school. And you could be a freshman, you could be a sophomore, but and also junior, senior, you can get college credits.
Right.
You can intern with us. So we're looking for a couple of people to help us with our remotes and also with our company. Since we have the podcast, we can promote it. And again, email us lafootballmagazine.com and go to contact, like Jay said, and send us your name, an email, a phone number, and a resume if you could.
Yeah.
And we'll get back with you really soon. I'm not going to end the show because I'm not the host.
Yeah, yeah. One more thing.
Which you're helping me on that.
Yeah, definitely. Just managing everything and make sure everything is running well. Make sure to go to lafootballmagazine.com. If you want an online copy, saying I want to find out about these teams in the dome. Let's say if you're a coach really from one of these two teams, like if you're a Logansport coach, I want to see what Homer really looks like. Just give me a little bit of a scouting report. We'll go to lafootballmagazine.com. You can probably purchase or order your online copy and get it quicker. At this point,
it's not going to be a day or two, so you'd have to order this. It takes 4 to 7 days. So.
Yeah, if you're going to order, you would order now.
Yeah, and it's not next day, but we'll try and get these out by the end of the week. And especially if you live in New Orleans already and you get a copy, or you live in the North Shore or home or something, you go on to the Superdome. But
you need a guide. It's a perfect guide for that.
Or if we can't get it to you for the Dome week, we can...
Maybe a Christmas gift.
Yeah, a Christmas gift to your mom, dad, your son, your daughter, your uncle, your grandpa, your grandmother. All this is important, especially when the kid's in it, and it means a lot. And that's what's helped us all these years, 26 years coming up. But 25 this past year. And I hope you enjoyed the show. Jace, appreciate it. And we'll... this will be our last playoff show. Yeah,
this will be our last playoff show. I know next week we'll probably recap some things, but it won't be focus only on that.
Our video shows will be more about what's going on in football, in baseball, basketball, and we'll have guests by the time we start our remotes.
Right, when we get our studio up and going, which has been in progress right now. But we also have to thank all of our sponsors too, and after we're wrapping the show up, you'll see all the sponsors that help us and make that play a huge part into what we do. And we cannot do it without these guys.
No.
We certainly cannot. And we really appreciate them because this is the first time we tried something like this, and for them to really invest in us and really trust us and say that this could really work. I mean, we have to appreciate y'all and what y'all put forth in helping us do what we do.
We appreciate everything. I want to thank all sponsors. You'll see the banners come up at the end of the show and at the beginning of the show.
Yep.
And support these businesses that support us, because we wouldn't have a show if we didn't have an income to pay for the time and pay for all this being done. And but we'll only do one video show a week starting out, even with the new place, because it's a lot of work on top of what we do with our company and the magazine. But we will get to where we'll be doing 3 video down the road.
Yeah.
Once we get a little bit more support going, a little bit more staffed. But we'll start with that one video show a week.
We'll have audio coming up.
We'll still have our audio
shows that we have.
And we'll still have guests. We're looking forward to bringing on a lot of recruits. We're going to try and get a quarterback. We're going to try and get Landry Liddy this week for Friday to listen to from Calvary Baptist. Hopefully we'll get him on. If not, someone else will be on.
Right. We'll get a recruit on for you for Friday. That'll be Friday's show. And we have a lot of great stuff coming up. I mean, we will talk about football, whatever's going on in football, basketball, baseball, just like Lee said. We'll have a show where we have our final Louisiana team. We'll have a lot of activities for you. We'll have a lot of great guests coming in. We're looking forward for the next couple of video shows.
Sounds good, man.
Yep.
Enjoyed it.
We're going to wrap it up here, Lee. This will be our last football preview show for high school football. When we come back, we'll talk about, like Queen says, we are the champions. Who will be the champions? We'll find out next week.
What
We'll
a
talk
band,
about
man. That's one of my favorite songs, Jace.
Yep, it is. It's a great song. Well, hope y'all enjoy y'all championship weekend. We'll also find out who wins the Heisman Trophy. We'll probably be Bryce Young.
I want Aiden Hutchinson.
Yep.
I want Michigan.
Yep. So we'll see. It should be a good football weekend. NFL was as crazy as it gets. I've ever really seen it through this year. So a lot to look forward to. Hope you enjoy your state championship week. Lee, it's been a pleasure as always. Jace LeJeune here signing off with Lee Burkeen. I'm Jace LeJeune saying so long. You're watching the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Burkeen. We'll check back with y'all on Friday.
The Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Burkeen's Louisiana High School Football Playoff Prediction Show is presented by Medine's Collision Center. Take control, choose Medine's. Gros Savon Lodge, the true sportsman's paradise. Treads and Care Tire Company, the tires you need, the service you want. And Harvey Autos, the name you have trusted for years.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Burkeen.